Hello everybody, it's Matthew here from Bead Spider, and today it's time for another fantastic beading tutorial. Today though, we're getting right all the way back to the 101 jewelry making basics here, but I'm going to be showing you some fantastic tips and tricks as well to make your beads go so much further. So essentially, the plan of today's tutorial, we've got a gemstone sale going on at the moment, and with Christmas just around the corner, seeing as it's almost November, and I know a lot of you will be busy getting your presents prepped, ready, and organized already. So I thought it would be a great time to show you guys how you can make your beads go so much further and make entire sets of jewelry. So necklace, earrings, and bracelet as well from just a single strand of gemstones. So when I say a single strand of gemstones, I have an example piece just here, which you may have seen on my keyframe just there, which essentially gemstones generally come in a 16-inch length like this just here, which you see this and you go, oh, lovely, perfect. That would make a necklace, maybe. But in fact, it's probably even a bit short to make a single necklace. So I've got some fantastic tips, tricks, and ways for you to sort of make your beads go so much further. So make sure you're sticking around, because I've got one product in particular which I think you're really going to like and potentially be slightly, maybe not amazed, maybe amazed is not the right word, but like in love. I think you'll be like, this is a fantastic product. How have I never heard of this before? And once you've had a go at using it, you'll probably want to use it again and again and again and again. Anyway, so as I said, that is the plan. I'm going to show you how we're going to turn this single strand, which if I just pop my camera to my hands just here, you can see we have this single strand piece just here, which is about 16 inches long. So standard size for when you're purchasing gemstones. These particular ones that I have here, I've gone for something that is a little bit more fancy, a little bit more expensive, because the great thing is you can easily splash out on your beads, get something that's a little bit more expensive. And because you're using these techniques, which I'm going to show you, they end up going so much further that you're actually able to make the necklace, the bracelet, the earrings, and in fact, to be honest, there's enough beads left over for another whole bracelet with the techniques that I'm going to show you. So definitely make sure you're here all the way to the very end. If you haven't done so before, make sure you like this video, subscribe to our channel as well. Now, don't forget, because we are live, I'm simultaneously casting both on YouTube and Facebook. So if you're on YouTube, why not check out the links in the description and check out our Facebook page? And if you're on Facebook, why not check out the links in the description to find our YouTube channel? Also, speaking of links in the description, there's some which will show you where you can view all of our different gemstones, which I think there's about 450 different stones in total, around about, something like that. They're all on sale for the next few days. So if you head over to the Bead Spider website, we've got like a banner with a timer that's ticking down to the impending end of our gemstone sale, but 20% off. We don't care which strand you've got. Like, for example, the one that I'm working on today, I think by being 20% off, I think in the region of, I don't know. I'll show you it later. I've got them all ready to show you on the website. But anyway, big sale, worth taking a look at. But first things first, before we begin, as I said, because it is live, let's do some greetings. Who have we had join us already? So if you haven't done so, you can comment in. I can see all your comments coming up and we can chat with each other. You can chat with me. You can ask me questions. Anything you want to know at any point, feel free to just ask that with a big fat Q at the beginning of your comment, and I will try and get to all of those. But already we have here David, first cab off the rank. Thank you for joining us again, David. We have Sandra, who is here as well. No, she's not here. She says actually that she's watching on demand because she has work. So she's not here right now. She popped in to comment, but she'll be watching later, which you can also do. So if you miss any part or you need to go at any time, this will be available again later. As soon as the stream is over, you can rewind and watch the whole thing. We also have Nancy, Amber, we have Jan, who is on YouTube. Amber is from Silver Hill, Alabama. Irina from Croatia, Renska from Holland, who is here. She's watching on YouTube. Welcome back. Thank you for joining. We have Madonna from Buffalo, where it's sunny and warm. Snowing by Monday, though, she says. We also have Janet, who is here watching on Facebook. She says hello from rainy Perthshire in Scotland, so quite north. We also have Mayra. Thank you very much for joining us again. She said, yay, I get to see you again. We have Eugenia, one of our usuals. She said, good day, everyone. Love these gemstones. I'm glad you like them. I'll tell you more about them in a bit. We have Marjorie as well. We have Carol. Tina is here from New Jersey as well. And then last one is Betty Bennett. She says, hi, I'm back. I'm not working today. Thank you very much, Betty, as well. Lots and lots of people coming and commenting in, which is fantastic to see. So if you are brand new, by the way, comment in, say hello. Let me know what you're getting up to today and what you think of the beads. Comment in what colors you would use, what shapes you would use. But essentially today, what I have here is called a blue lace agate, which is a very, very high quality of agate beads, which you can see just here. They have these gorgeous white flecks through each of these ones, which are completely natural color as well. This very, very beautiful, soft, periwinkly blue. So anyway, this is the bead I'm going to be using. So essentially, you can just cut that up and you'll have yourself a single strand, which if we have a look, one strand like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29 beads. So essentially, you want to just get yourself a pair of scissors. Obviously, these beads just come on a temporary strand. You can see that's why they're all loose. That's how gemstones usually come. This is just for storing them. It's not for using it to turn it into jewelry. So you just cut this piece of thread and you can feed your beads off onto your bead mat just here, which I already have one of the exact same already cut, which you can see I've been playing with that one just here. I've got my beads on my bead mat. I've got a giant mess, matter of fact, but we'll be tidying it all up. And I'm going to be telling you, as I said, a few techniques to work out exactly how we're going to make all of this go so much further and work so much better. But anyway, first step of this little process is find yourself your two nicest beads or your two favorite beads, because these ones essentially will be the earrings that we're going to make, which the earring, before I cut it up, I've already got one just here. The earrings, you can just make them into these lovely little set like this one just here. I'm going to show you how to make a second one, but just choose your favorite bead. You can go through and you go, oh yeah, I love this one. Look at the banding on that. Isn't that beautiful? Put it aside and we're going to use that one. Here you go. I really like this one. Look how banded this one is. This one is good. So this one I'm going to put aside for my second little earring. And then I also have, look, I've got even more just here. So let's just get them all out. These are the ones. Here's some I got out earlier. So the same number as my little strand here. So if you cut it up, you end up with this lovely little puddle of beads here. First things first, choose your two favorites, and we're going to pop them aside. And they're going to be our earrings, which we will use a little bit later on. For now, though, I'm going to start off with a bracelet because I think that it is a nice, simple and easy project. Now, I do recommend, if you have one, to use a bead mat, which if you haven't seen bead mats before, it's like you can see it just here on the edge. It's like a microfiber, which is great because it stops your beads from rolling around. It sort of keeps them in place, makes everything so much easier because it sort of holds your work together while you're working on it. So definitely something I can recommend. But if you don't have a bead mat, you can just use, I don't know, like a bit of felt or like a tablecloth or something. Essentially what you don't want to use is what unfortunately I will probably be using today, which is a hard surface because the beads will roll around and slip about and so forth, and you can easily lose them. So if you have some form of working surface, like this one just here, I recommend you use it. So first things first, we're going to measure out the size for our bracelet. So if I was going to show you, you can either use a tape measure, obviously, and just wrap that around to figure out the size that you need. But if you're a complete beginner and you don't even have a tape measure, potentially, you can just get a piece of string, for example, and you can just sort of wrap it around your wrist to figure out the exact size that you need it to be. And the one thing, though, because the beads will sit a little bit raised above your skin, you want to make sure that you give yourself a little bit of leeway to sort of make it a bit longer. So once you have that, you can see it's going to be around about this sort of size on me, this. And then just to give myself that little bit extra leeway, I'm going to add about an inch or something like that. And that's going to be the size that I would need for my bracelet. Now, this particular set of jewelry, I'm going to be making for Maxine's size. So I have her piece already here, which is slightly smaller than my wrist measurement for her just there. But obviously you'll see at the end, so potentially about an inch less than what I would need is what she needs. But so I'll make it to her size, but it's very, very easy because you can make it to whatever size you want. Now, the first number one tip when it comes to making your beads go further is like a design element that I definitely recommend, is finding some beads that you think go nicely and will work to space your beads out a bit. Now, you don't need to use very many at all. For example, with this particular one, to make myself a bracelet, I've got myself a nice dark blue. You can see it just here. It's like a midnight blue colored 4mm crystal, because the great thing about using crystals, one, you don't have to use many, which is a good start, but when you move and you start walking around and holding your jewelry, it's going to start blinging and catching the light and popping and just bring your beadwork to life in a way that you just can't get unless you are using those sparkly crystal beads like these ones here. So these are the ones I'm going to use. You don't need many, as I said. And what we'll do, we're going to start with the most easy, simple, basic of basic techniques, which is called crimping. So crimping, which is using these teeny weeny little beads. So they're called crimp beads, unsurprisingly, which if we have a look at my little packet just here, this is a very, very inexpensive product and sort of like a foundation for your jewelry making, which if you want to find these, I have a link to them in the description. They are just tiny, tiny little metal beads that are designed for squishing. So what we're going to do, we're going to just get ourselves out some of these little crimp beads here. And I'm going to pop them on my mat. You only need 2 per bracelet or necklace or whatever it is that you're going to be working on. So 1 for each end. And for this particular design, another thing I'm going to do, just to make it that little bit classier and a little bit more fancy, I'm also going to use what are called crimp covers, which, do you know what? I'll get one out the bag so you can see them, which I will show you exactly how they work. They're nice and simple, but they give you a much, much cleaner finish. So the first thing that we're going to do, I'll just grab those out. They're like little horseshoe-shaped things, and the plan for these is what you do. You use some tools, which I'll show you what the tools are in just a minute, and we're going to close that down into a ball. But anyway, that just sort of hides our work, makes it a bit cleaner. So we'll come to that a bit later on. Now, as for tools, you don't need a whole lot. Essentially, you just need some cutters, like this one just here. You also need some round nose pliers, which we're going to use for our ear wires just there. And then you need any form of plier. I have bent nose ones just because it'll make it easier for me to demonstrate to you. But essentially just normal pliers are fine. But the only thing that's important is that they are flat on the inside. It doesn't need to be any special plier or anything like that, just as long as they are flat on the inside and ideally come to a nice fine point towards the end, because then you can sort of get access to what you're trying to squeeze a little bit better, a little bit tighter, and it gives you a cleaner finish just by having that slightly smaller point. But essentially any plier will do as long as it is flat on the inside. Both sides need to be flat. So what we'll also be using is what is called tiger tail jewellery wire, which if you have a look, it's this stuff just here, and it's essentially all of these extremely fine woven strands of stainless steel. Now, I can't remember how many strands it is exactly, but it's like 9 or 10 or 12 or something, some really, really high number. And then they coat it with nylon. And essentially, it's just going to work like our wire that will go through the beads and hold everything in place. But because it is this stainless steel material, it is extremely strong. It doesn't break. It's not going to use like any knots or anything like that. So it is excellent, excellent material. So this one just here, I'm using a 0.3 millimeter tiger tail. And basically all you need, if you have a look, if this is the length of my little bracelet just here that I'm going to be making, Maxine size bracelet, you just need to use probably about double this. So whatever this measurement is, you can just measure that along and go, yeah, double that up. And then you just grab your scissors, or you can use your cutters. Either ones are fine. And we can just cut this little piece to the length that we need. And I'll just check that I've given myself enough here. I'm just cutting off my ratty little end bit just there. There we go. So I have myself a nice piece. There you go. Yeah, it's probably a little bit more than double, but that's fine. That is perfectly fine. Now, this cord, I'm not going to be using this for the jewelry. This is literally just so I have a measure of the size I need to make. So the very first step that we're going to do, we begin by adding on our clasp. Now, remember how I said we're going to be using some of those crimp beads? Essentially, what the crimp beads will do, we're going to thread them on like a little bead, and they're going to secure our wire so that it is nice and tight and locked and then isn't going to come undone. So you can take any clasp. It doesn't matter. As long as your clasp has a small little loop like this at the end, it doesn't matter what size, it doesn't matter what shape it is. It could be a toggle, it could be magnetic, it could be a lobster, it could be, I don't know, whatever you can think of. As long as it has like a little metal loop like this, you can attach to it with this tiger tail and crimping method. So basically what we're going to do, we'll take our little piece of tiger tail jewelry wire just here, and I'm going to thread on first one little crimp bead. You can slide it on down. It doesn't matter how far. The further you slide it down, the probably easier it will be. But for now, we're going to just pop it here, something like that. And we can grab ourselves that little clasp, and we're going to thread that onto the wire as well. See that? So we've got our thread just here, our clasp just there, and we have our crimp bead here as well. So now we're going to sort of loop back and go back through that little crimp bead. So I'll just zoom in so you can see exactly what I'm doing. And this little crimp bead, so we'll take the end of the wire, which is just over here, and we're going to just bring it back and go in the opposite direction. So see how that creates like a loop shape here? And we're going to go through that little crimp bead in the opposite direction. The great thing about this is also you don't need to use like a needle or anything. So I've taken my wire, both wires now going through that. There it is there. And we can just push this little crimp bead up, 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 up towards the end. And it will just lock that little crimp nice and close right there against our little clasp. See that? So at this point, it's also important that you check that your clasp moves relatively freely. If you find that it's a bit stiff, just move your crimp down, maybe just a couple of millimeters, just like that's enough there. And that will just make it a little bit softer, a little bit gentler, and this will move around a bit better. But you want to make sure that you don't make it too loose. So like this, see how you got a big loop there? That's too loose. If you pull it all the way up, that's too tight. You want to find somewhere that's just the tiniest fraction short of being too tight. So see that? There we go. If it hangs loose like this, that's pretty good. That's what we want. And now what we're going to do is just grab ourselves our pliers just here, and we can just come on in with the very, very tip of our pliers. See how I said using the bent one makes it easy for me to show you what I'm doing? And at this point, you can also use the pliers to sort of slide it to the exact spot that you want it. And then when you're ready and when you're happy and confident with the firmness of it, you can just give that one almighty big squeeze like that, just to get it nice and firm. Now with these, you'll see it squishes it flat now. See that? So you want it to be flat. You only squish it in one direction. So what I mean by that is once you've squished it flat like this, if you were to try and come back and squeeze it in this direction, for example, you would open the crimp back up or probably break the crimp and it won't be secure anymore. So just make sure once you've done that, give it another squeeze, like as hard as you can. Come on, squeeze, get your wrists involved. And then once that's done, that is nice and firm, nice and tight. You can check it to make sure that it is firm by giving it a tug. And you'll see that is now never, ever going to come undone. Very, very unlikely. It might do after 10 years, but not before then. So there we go. Now all we're going to do is start threading on our beads. Now this one, the bracelet, funnily enough, like I said, we're going to use a design that is spacing them out. I've got myself some of those little crystals just here. So you don't need to use very many. This is probably far more than we're going to need. And I'm going to just thread along until my piece is as long as my little thread just here. So I'll start myself off with one of my crystals, I think, like this just here. And slide it on down. Slide it over both ends of this wire just here. And we can just pop that into place. And you see that gives us this nice first little bead, which is always good. Then we can grab ourselves a gemstone. And I'm literally just going to alternate. And it will just space those beads out. And again, like I said, it gives you a bit of a pop of contrast color. You don't have to use crystals. You can use like, I don't know, you can use something bigger. You can use something smaller. You can use a seed bead. You can use another shape of crystal. You can use another shape of gemstone if you want to. It's entirely up to you. But just for the sake of making something super duper simple and matches with my photograph that I've done, see that? If you were to just fill that up, they all sit next to each other, one to the next, to the next, to the next. But by adding in that one little crystal, it just spaces them out, which also accentuates the shape of the bead, which I think is nice, and gives it an extra dimension to your work. So it's up to you how you space them, how much you space them. I'm going to show you a different spacing when I do the necklace version, because do you know what? It's not going to take me very long. I will be able to make, in the time of this video, one bracelet, one necklace, and one earrings. But make sure you're sticking around, especially for the necklace, because I have a little product which is so fantastic. It will blow your mind if you're a bead maker, especially if you make to sell, or if you're wanting to make some fantastic jewelry for Christmas presents, because that is the true secret to making your beads go further. Like right now, me doing this with the bead mats and just adding a little bead here and a little bead there, sure, it will make your beads go further, but if you really want to make them go further, this product that I'm going to be using when I do my necklace piece, that one's the game changer. So let's just slide that on down. You can see this thread, if it's getting a bit awkward and annoying, this second piece just here, which if I zoom in, you can see there it is just sticking out there. If you find that it's getting annoying and you can't manage to get both beads on top of it or whatever, you can just cut that little excess bit off. You don't need it anymore. But anyway, I'll just continue adding one and a bit and one and a bit and one and a bit until the size of this piece matches that little cord. So doesn't take very long. Now, any questions, just while I'm threading here, if has anybody got a question or is anyone brand new, I want to give some shout outs. I want to see. Andrea says, do you use a needle? No. The great thing about this tiger tail jewelry wire is it's quite firm. So you never need to use a needle. The beads just thread straight on to it really, really easily. So just continue along. Any other questions, by the way? I'm looking for those big letter Qs Also, if you're brand new and you've never made jewelry before, or you've never seen our channel, comment in and say hello. I want to talk to you as well. I want to give people a shout out. David says, I like to use small gemstones. Wait, I'll pop it up. I like to use small gemstones as spaces with big ones to use them up, Matthew. Yes, that is another way that you can do it, which is a very, very simple and easy way to make your beads go further in and again create additional texture. The whole process is trying to create extra texture and make it look fantastic. And that is a great way. Having a contrasting color in gemstone, or you can use the same one. But yeah, so if we have a look now, I'll just zoom back out. We can see how close we're getting to the size of this little thread here. So if we just straighten that out, we're not too far from how far we need to be. So you can see it does not take long at all to sort of thread these beads up, especially once you've decided on your design. There's also another little product which I'm going to show you, which is one I always like to show you guys, but I find is an excellent product for bead work, especially to add some extra bling to things. So where are we now? How close are we? Do I need to add any more? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Probably not. So if we have a look here, there's the length of my cord. Do I need one more? Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'll do one more. Was this to make my size or was this Maxine's size? I can't remember which one I ended up using. Oh, well. So we'll do one more. And then to make it symmetrical, I'm going to finish it off with another crystal at the other end. Just here. And now we'll just grab ourselves another one of these little crimp beads, and we're going to use the second side of our clasp, which you can use, again, whatever clasp you've used, you just use the second half of that. I've got a soldered jump ring just here, so that's like a closed ring, essentially, but you can also use an extension chain, whatever it is. Miriam, by the way, has just joined us from YouTube, on Facebook. She says, hello from Brazil. Welcome to Miriam. So yeah, grab yourself, thread on one of those little crimp beads once again. And I'll just zoom on in so you can see what I'm doing. And once we have that little bead there, we're going to thread on our end of our clasp just here, thread that through, and we're going to do the same process of looping back, going through that last little crimp bead and through some of our beads. Just try and find those little holes as you go and just slide it through, just shimmy it along gently through some of those beads. Find the next one, go through a few more, and sort of as you continue getting through a few beads, you'll get to a point where you go, yeah, that's good enough. Like, it doesn't need to be too many. There we go, that'll do us. Let's just get through that one. There we are. And you can see I currently don't have a very firm bracelet. You can see there is lots and lots of space between all the beads and stuff in this design. So if I just zoom out a tiny bit more, let's just sort of do this gently, pull it down a little bit so that it's approximately tight. So see how we don't really have too many spaces now. But the one thing to make sure that we don't have any spaces is, first things first, just check which side of the thread is the one that is going through, because we can use our pliers. So just place your finger on the last bead, and as you pull through, you'll see which side is the one that is sort of starting to loop down and close. So this thread, it's this side over here. So what I want to do, I want to grab myself my pliers, and I'll just zoom back in so I can show you this process. And what I'm going to do is just use my pliers at the point at which that last little bead is ending. I'm going to just pull against that, so keep it nice and firm here. And when you push against that little bit there, you can see how much extra space I just got out of that little bit. Try and keep this little fella out of the way for now. There we go. So as I pull on that, it makes all the rest of my beadwork tighter. And now if I keep it steady, I can just grab a bit closer and then pull that a little bit tighter and go, yeah, that's kind of staying where it is now. And this gives me something to grip against as I pull the last of my thread, and that prevents my work from getting any looser. So just hold it right next to that crimp bead and pull, pull, pull till it gets nice and close to being completely tight. And now we can just pull a little bit more and see how that's pretty much tight now. We want to just give it a little bit of space. Just give it a tiny tug so that this piece is loose. Again, same like the other side. You don't want it to be too tight. You want it to be loose and gentle. So now we'll grab our pliers and we'll just come on in. This is why you need those fine-nosed pliers so that you can get into these tiny spaces and squeeze that little bead completely flat. And that's going to give it that nice flat little crimp piece just here at the very end, locking it all in place. So squeeze that nice and tight. And then once you grab yourself your cutters, you can see we've got our last little bit of wire sticking out here. You can sort of bend it back on itself so that it sort of opens it up to the hole a bit, because we're just cutting this bit off. Keep it away from your other beads and other wire and all of that. Get it nice and close to the bead and just cut that off. And the rest of your wire will sort of hide inside of the beadwork. Now at the other end, because we had a tiny bit of our thread coming out at this side, we can do the same process again. Just try and get it nice and close and then cut that off. And then there you go. You have one fully finished little bracelet ready to go. Now this way, we've saved ourselves a few beads, not a huge number, but we have saved some. But now I'm going to move on and we're going to do the necklace. So the necklace starts in almost the exact same way. So again, when you grab yourself your tiger tail jewelry wire, you can work out the size that you want it to be around your neck. You can even use the tiger tail itself to figure that size out if you like. And what we'll do, I'm going to just sort of measure myself out. Probably a meter is more than enough, easily more than enough, but it's better to have too much compared to not enough. If you have not enough, you will make your task very difficult later on. So just grab yourself 75 centimeters to a meter, about a yard for those who use the old money imperial units like our friends in the US. And now what we're going to do, we're going to start now by just, again, crimping the end of our work. And we'll use that same sort of technique using another one of those little lobster claws, which I have one just here on the table somewhere, hiding from me. Where have you gone, my friend? I tell you, it's always the way. Just as I'm looking for something, that's when it disappears. Well, luckily, I have the other end. I have my little closed ring here, so I can use that one instead. So we'll just use the closed ring end. Doesn't matter which. And now this time, I'm going to start by adding on a little bit extra. Doesn't make too much of a difference. So grab yourself, once again, your new piece of tiger tail jewelry wire, but for your length of a necklace. And we will thread on, firstly, we're going to go one crimp bead. And I find with necklaces, it's better if you have a bead between the crimp and the clasp. So we'll thread that onto there. Then we will put our little clasp on there as well. And now we're going to loop back, and I'm going to go through that little bead and also through the crimp. Now, you might be wondering, well, what on earth did you do that for? I'll show you, because once you've gone through it and you slide it up towards the end of your work, you'll find, and what I'm going to also do while I'm doing this, is add on one more little crystal. And the difference for why I'm doing this, once we put this one on, just thread that on. So the crimp is between two of these crystals. When you do that, especially because on this particular one, I'm going to use a crimp cover. If we look very, very closely at our work just here, zoom right on in. If you have a look, the two little beads, see how close those bits of wire are together? And how close the bits of wire are coming out of either side of the bead. The way that we do this is because it keeps those wires nice and close to each other so that when we crimp them and we want to add on our crimp cover, the wires aren't too far apart, and it makes it much, much easier for us to add on that little crimp cover. So first things first, let's grab ourselves our plier. Let's move this little bead up a bit here. Check that your clasp moves around. That's a good sort of tension. And then we can just sort of bring this up. And we're going to just give ourselves a little bit of leeway. See, you can move it away if you want, and then bring it back towards and just give it a nice firm squeeze as hard as you can, like that there. And then if you have a look, coming out here, the two wires, they stay completely tight close together. And I'll just add on that first little crimp cover so that I can show it to you guys. And then I'm going to show you that fantastic product that's going to wow and amaze you. So here, now what we're going to do, this little piece, like I said, it's like a horseshoe. So we're going to take this tiny little piece. This is how, if you don't like those flat little crimp beads, if you go, oh, that's a bit unsightly, I don't like that, I don't want to see it, I want it to look neater, I want it to look nicer, I want it to be more professional looking, that's where these little fellas come into handy. So the easiest way to do that, especially if you're using a bead mat, you can stand them up on their end like that. See? So it's sort of the mouth of my little Pac-Man horseshoe is facing upright. And that allows me to just drop this little crimp cover inside the mouth of that little piece just there. If it falls, that's okay. You can just sort of shift it around. And there you go. You can see it's now sitting inside of that little cover. And at this point, to get it nice and neat, to get it clean, you do this very gently, very slowly, very softly at the beginning. And then we're going to get it a bit neater at the end. So just... again, just very, very, very gently. Let's give it a nice, soft little squeeze so that the mouth of our little Pac-Man horseshoe thing, whoops, closes over. Annoyingly, there we go, put it back on. So you can see it's closing over little by little. Oh, I didn't get my super zoomed in camera. It would have been perfect for this. Oh, well. So you can see it's inside the mouth there. The little Pac-Man mouth. Now, at this point, because we want it to be a circle and it's sort of sticking out like this, the easiest way to do that is that you want to squish the mouth down like this into a circular shape. So what we were doing just before was squeezing the top and the bottom of the mouth. Now we want to squeeze the front of this little mouth opening towards the back. So if you come at it from the side, so see that? I've got one side of the plier where the mouth is. You can do it so that you only do one side at a time. So see that? I'm only doing this one side of this mouth. And just very gently give that a squeeze, and it squeezes down into a ball. Do the same on the other side of the mouth, and just very gently give it a squeeze, bring it down, do the other side, bring it around, and then you just maneuver your pliers around to try and make that little ball shape neater and neater and neater, and only squeeze very, very gently. That's all that's required. If you squeeze too hard, you can sort of misalign the little lip of your work, and that little bead doesn't go into a ball shape. It sort of misaligns. But if you're gentle, you get this fantastic, perfect little round ball shape. See that? So it just takes a little bit of time, a little bit of practice, but there you go. That gives you a much neater finish. Now, this is the time where I'm going to show you that fantastic product, which I've loved. It used to be, a few years ago, the most popular product on our entire website. I haven't promoted it in a long time, but we've got some extra stock finally. It's really difficult to get a hold of. So we have some now, and we've got some now. And what it is, essentially, is this stuff here, which you might be looking at that and just going, well, what on earth is this? Well, this here, it's called velveteen tubing. What is velveteen tubing? Velveteen tubing, essentially, it looks like velvet, it feels like velvet, it works like velvet, but the thing is that it's actually a very, very fine little tube. So there's a hole at the end here. You can almost think of it as like a wire cover or a giant long velvet bead, something like that. However you want to imagine it, that is how it works. So it just threads your wire straight through there. It looks like your beadwork is on velvet. It feels like your beadwork is on velvet. It hides all of your wire work. But the best part is the amount that you use is just reducing the number of beads you've got to use. So when you have a piece that is this long, you've just saved yourself this many beads. If you want to use a piece that is this long, you have saved yourself this many beads. But essentially, I find that if you take it from the very back of your neck and you bring it to about this sort of point here, then you can just do the beads in the center where everybody's looking. Your hair's probably covering what's back here. It doesn't need to be beads. But again, because you haven't used the beads, you don't have the weight of the beads, you don't have the sort of the texture of the beads, you don't have the wire, you just have this lovely soft velvet material, which the great thing is that you can just get any old pair of scissors. You can get old scissors, you can get new scissors, it doesn't matter. Just anything will do, such as these ones here. And like I said, you just cut it to the size that you want. See, it just cuts very easily, just like that there. And then there you go. You have a lovely piece, whatever size. So if you wanted to do like a big bead spaced by some velvet, and then another big bead, and then spaced with some velvet, and then another big bead, whatever it is you want to do, you can do it like that. But the way I'm going to do it, which again, I've measured them out for Maxine size, I've got one piece here. And then once you have that, because we're going to make it symmetrical on both sides of the neck, it's important that you get a second piece and you cut them to be the exact same size. See that? You need two pieces exactly the same. Make sure that they're the same size before you continue, because otherwise it's a lot more difficult. So first things first, cut them with your scissors to the exact same size that you want. And then once you've done that, we're going to just slide it directly onto our wire. So just like a giant bead, you can also, by the way, you can just very gently iron it if you want to on a very, very low heat, or you can sort of measure it. You can sort of do this process just to get it nice and straight as well, by the way, which is always a good thing to do, because if it's a little bit curved, it can be a bit too curved. You want to just sort of persuade it a little bit. It takes a little bit of time, but once it's nice and straight, it works much, much better, but I'm not going to bother with that today. So now you just thread it on, and there you go. Look at that. It is now coming out the other end, and I can just slide that on down. You can go and get this from our website, by the way. If you want to go and get it, we have it on our website. There's brown and there's black colors. And then there you go. You can see it just gives you this nice little covering. And the thing that I think looks very good is when you have it nice and tight, it sits against that last little bead, which you can see is very, very sparkly and is hiding all of your wire work. So it just looks like it's completely made of velvet, which is great. And then when you come over here, we can now add on our other beads. So again, I'm going to work in a similar way to before, but this time, if you want to make your beads go even further, you can use multiple different sizes. So instead of just going like I did with the bracelet, 1 and 1 and 1 and 1 and 1 and 1, what I've also got here, which I'm going to use, are some of my, you can use seed beads if you prefer, but I have some of my size 11 microcrystal seed beads. So again, if you have never seen these before, I know I talk about them a lot, but if you've never seen them before, they are exclusive to us. You can only buy them from Bead Spider. If you see other things claiming to be a microcrystal, that's why they will never say they are size 11, because ours, we have them manufactured to be the same size as a size 11 seed bead. They're not round. They're not, you know, whatever other shape people want to call them. They are seed bead size and shape. And you can see they catch the light, they sparkle, and they are, in fact, seed bead size exactly. So I'm going to use some of these as part of my spacing process. So the way I'm going to lay them out, I think if I just grab myself out a few, is just pour them out here, which if you haven't seen the microcrystals, you can go and check them out on our website. I tell you, I'm plugging all the things on our website today. But anyway, you can choose whatever color. I've gone for one that I think looks really nice with these blue lace agate beads. And so what I'm going to do, again, I want to have the same sort of finish at the other end of my velvet. So I'm going to just thread on, firstly, one of these little crystals. And you can see I don't have to worry about that second bit of wire that was poking out before, because it's hidden inside my velveteen tubing. So let's just thread this on out. But yeah, you can see how this curvature can be a bit of a problem. Like I said, you want to just get it a little bit straighter first. Here's a comment here from David saying, yes, the microcrystals are great. I'm glad you like them, David. And Purple Penny here says, I bought the velveteen tubing in black and purple a few years ago, but still haven't used it. Well, now is the time. Go and get some of our gemstones and use them like this. So anyway, let's now start threading them on, and I'm going to do it with a bit of spacing. So let's put one bead. And at this point, you can do it with, I don't know, it's up to you how you want to do it. You want to make it a slightly bigger spacing and save even more of your gemstones. You could do it with 2 of these crystals on there if you want to. I'm going to go with 1, 1, and 1, like this. And that just gives me a tiny bit extra spacing. There you go. See that? And that just threads straight onto the wire, by the way. No needle required. Just go straight on. There you go. That's going to be my spacing between each one of these little pieces here. You can even change the size of your spacing if you want to give it an extra interesting effect, or use a bigger bead if you want to. This one is a 4 mil round crystal, but you could use like a 6 or a bicone or whatever takes your fancy. It doesn't matter. Then we're going to take another little thing here. We'll go through there and pick up another one. And I can just thread this on in whatever manner you find pleasing. It doesn't matter. And then I'll just take my next gemstone and we will pass through there, pull that tight, and go through here. And I'm going to just continue now. I'm going to do a total of 8 of these little beads here, these ones, because like I said, I'm doing a whole necklace with just 8 of those beads. The bracelet had 9. If I wanted to space the bracelet in the same way, I probably could have got away with only using 8 of them as well. So let's just sort of continue, which an interesting thought on how much bead work you want to do. The interesting sort of thing that I've noticed is an amount that looks good is about the same length as what you would have for a bracelet. So I'm going to make the same sort of spacing here, but to the bracelet size. That's going to give me a nice central neck size. So a nice little tip there for those of you who are wondering how many beads should I do in the center. About a bracelet's worth. I think that's a good size. So now let's just thread those beads on nice and quick. I'm going to try and blast through this so that we can get this finished, and then I'll get on to the earring, which won't take long, and then that's it. That's literally all it will be, and you will see how many beads are left over when I'm finished with this. There's a lot. There's quite a few left over, but in fact, there's going to be enough beads left over that I could make a second one of these bracelets in the exact same way. So it is very, very good. But yeah, because I have these microcrystals as well as the 4 mil round crystals, it's just another added crystal sparkly bit of texture to the design that we're making. So let's just plow through this. How many more have I got to do? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is number 6. I probably only need to do 2 more. Through there, through there, through here, and then this guy. And there's the next one. How many was I up to? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 2 more. And you can see just that little bit of extra spacing. I think it's like quite a classy look. Again, it's all about your own personal taste. You can separate it any way you want. You can use whatever beads you want. You can do it absolutely to your personal preference, or to the preference of whomever you're making it for as well. And for example, if you make jewelry to sell. Again, this product is great because you can just sort of make it to the exact sort of size that you want it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Sorry, the exact size that you're going to need it for your customer. And if you just do your bracelet's worth of beads in the center, you can then just measure from here to here and it's done. Really, really easy just to make those slight changes. So if I just put this down here, let's have a look. How much do I need? How close am I to my bracelet length? It's pretty close. I could probably add one more if I wanted to. How many have I done? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let's go one more. Why not? Might be a bit much, but we'll see. I think it's fine. Let's test that out. Did I make this to my size or did I make it to Maxine's size in the end? Oh, do you know what? I used the string that I cut for myself. This is not her size. I was wondering why the numbers didn't quite seem right. So this is her neck bracelet size. So this is the size I'm going to make it. And now again, we're going to just use our second piece of velveteen tubing. And we're going to finish off our second end the exact same way. So grab that velveteen, just get it a bit straight. So like I said, if you want to use like a very low temperature iron, you can do that. That helps. Then your beads come out the very end here. Slide it on down and get it into position. And we're going to just finish it off in the exact same way. So now let's grab ourselves one of these crystals, one of these crimp beads, and one more crystal here as well. What is the name of that great black thread, please? Says Aracelia. It's called velveteen tubing. There's a link to it in the description in the beads just below. So if you're on YouTube, the Purple Penny says there won't be a single gem in the middle. I know. I don't care. I kind of like it like that. It's my preference. That's how I want to do it, so I'm going to do it. That's I mean, obviously, if you wanted to have an odd number, you would have a bead perfectly in the center, but it kind of doesn't matter. The beads aren't really big enough that it matters. So anyway, once I've got this just here, I need to find the other side of my clasp now, which, did I drop it on the floor? What have I done with it? I tell you. Here we go. Here we go. I have found it. Let me just get that off. There we go. So now you just take the other side of your clasp. We have our bead, our crimp, and our bead, and we're going to just thread that on. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, all of that sort of stuff, by the way, if you're enjoying the tutorial and you want to learn more. So now let's just thread that on down. And once again, we're going to do the same process like we did before, where we just loop it back. We're going to go around and back down through the crystal and the crimp and a few more. And I'll just thread it until it's coming out the other end of my velveteen tubing. Which, if you don't have enough left over, you don't have to go all the way through the velveteen tubing. You could just do it through these first couple of beads. That's also going to be fine. So just pull, pull, pull until it comes out of here. So just feed it through. There we go. And now I can pull a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. Don't get all the way, though, so that now we have our little piece just here. Get that on the outside. And when I pull that, let's just check which side is the side that is coming. Okay, this one here is the one that is coming in this direction. So let's slide our work down all the way. And we're going to use that same technique where we grab the pliers against that bead. And now I can sort of pull against it, and look how much extra space I've just sort of freed up. It's probably fine as is. There we go. That's about right. And now I'll just pull the rest of it now down, 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 and that loop will get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller until it's almost closed. And now at this point, we can just pull on our wire until we find that this point here is just where we want it to be. Now, also, don't forget that you want to make sure that you have enough space for your little crimp bead to have its cover around it. So just give it a little squeeze. Just try and maneuver it a little bit just to have the tiniest bit of space so that when we want to put that crimp cover on, it will be able to fit there. So let's just there we go. That's a bit good enough. And I'll come on in and I'll just give that a squeeze. Nice and firm. Come on, there we go. There it is. Very nice. And if we have a look, there we go. I've got a little bit of space there now to add on that last little crimp cover. So the good thing as well is that this is sort of elasticy, so you can sort of pull it backwards and it bounces back and keeps your last crystal pressed against that crimp cover. I'm not going to do the crimp cover just so I can jump ahead and show you the earrings, but essentially find the end of your wire and just bring in your cutters and we'll chop that off. And now what I'm going to do to finish myself my jewelry set, because I've already made one, we're going to make the other one in the exact same fashion. Remember how I chose my 2 favorite beads at the very beginning? So I have all of those. But don't forget, by the way, just as I told you, look how many beads I still have left over to do something with. So for example, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 little beads there, which again, it would make another small bracelet, especially if I wanted to spread them out even further in the same way that I've done with this one. See, look, just that tiny little bit extra spacing from the seed bead goes a long way. Every seed bead that you're adding adds in about 1.5 millimeters. So when you add one there, that's another 1.5 millimeters. If you wanted to do it with 2 seed beads before the crystal, that would be almost 3 mil extra every single spacing, just to make it that little bit further, go a little bit further and make yet more jewelry with your single strand. So anyway, we'll forget about that for now. We're going to come in now and we're going to use this lovely little head pin. Now, Nancy says, that's a very long strand of beads. Well, gemstones always come as 16 inches because often that's how much you need if you were going to knot it to turn it into a single necklace. That's why they come in that length. But today, because of the way we're doing it, we're getting so much more out of it. So anyway, we're going to do our earring now. So the earring is also a nice, easy, simple little process. Tools-wise, what we're going to be using this time, which if I grab my little tool set here and check that I actually have the thing, yes, I do. We're going to be using our round nose pliers. So these ones here, essentially, they're just pliers with a nice circular end just there. So they have like a cone shape at the tip. And we're going to use this to create like a little loop with our wire here. So if you have a look, we have our what is called a head pin. I have one which has a little ball just there at the bottom. And at this point, what you can do is, if you wanted to, you could put some of your microcrystals on there. You could put some of your crystals on there. See whatever takes your fancy. Or if you're like me and you prefer it just simple, you can just put it straight through your gemstone and have just the gemstone. If you want them to be more dangly, you can have them more dangly. It's up to you. It's entirely your preference how you want your earrings to look. But essentially, once you've chosen your beads, get yourself your fingernail and just bend it 90 degrees like that there. And that will hold that last little bead into place like that. And you will now be able to create that final loop that will create this little earring piece. So to make ourselves a loop, because we want a loop to be small and delicate and nice, you don't need to use too much wire here. Now, obviously, as you do more, you'll sort of start to learn how much exactly you need. But if you are not 100% certain, an easy way to check is grab 2 little head pins that are the exact same size, okay? And now, this is a good tip. I think you're going to like it. So this one, if you want to work out exactly the length that your little loop will take up, all we have to do is just make a loop on the end of this. We're going to cut the loop off later, so it doesn't matter too much. But essentially, and as well, the closer you go to the tip of your wire here, the smaller your loop will be. So if you have it all the way down here, you're going to have a massive loop. If you go all the way to the very tip, you'll have a teeny weeny little one. So now, if we just roll that like this, as like our little test piece like that, you can see here that it creates our loop. And to know exactly how much wire we need to make this loop, we can compare now the two different sizes to each other. So if you have a look, this finished loop is about here. So if we just zoom in a little bit, you can see this just here is the amount of wire required. Just keep your two ends aligned. This point just here is the amount of wire you need to create one loop. So if we just drop that other piece, that is how much I want to have to create a loop of that size. So with this one that I've already got here bent, I can create my loop and I'll be confident that I'll have just about the right amount if I cut it just here. So now let's just bring in my cutters. And like I said, once you sort of start to get the hang of the size that you need, again, if you want to check it, you can do that again, but just cut that approximately to size. And then you go, okay, that's going to be about what I need. I think I may have cut it a little bit long from where I was. But anyway, once you've done that, you can then just take your pliers and put it in about the same spot where you had them. Now, one thing which I forgot to mention when I did my first loop is that you want this to be flush. So see that? See how it's sticking out and you can't see it coming out this end. And on this side, it's like perfectly 90 degrees compared to the plier there. So I personally keep a finger resting on the bottom of the head pin because that gives me something to press against. And then I can hold my bead in place, try and keep that 90-degree angle exactly where it is. And then as you do this, you can roll, 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 roll as far as you need. And hopefully you'll find that creates that perfect size little loop. And look at that. It is exactly where we need it to be. And holding that bead perfectly in place. If you want it to be a little bit tighter, depends which end you're going to attach to your ear wire or whatever it is. But you can just get it, just align it slightly. And then you have a perfect little loop there. See? There we go. Looks good. I'm happy with that. You can see I haven't quite got it touching exactly yet, but that's fine. We're going to now attach it to our ear wire and we'll close up that little gap in just a second. So now I'll grab myself my pliers. Remember these fellas? We're going to use these to open that loop that we just made. Now, when it comes to opening loops, you don't want to open them sort of back the way that you've just bent them because you will stress the metal in this sort of space here. So just there, that's where it would become stressed. So what you're actually going to do is sort of, instead of opening it in this sort of method, we're going to, if I just turn sideways, we're going to take it sideways. So the size of the circle doesn't change. It just takes it out of the way so that we can slip something on and then you can just pop it back in. So there, now what we'll do is just pop that. As I said, we're going to just pop it sideways. Let's zoom back in and I'll show you what happens. So just take that little piece just there and edge it out to the side. See? So I haven't changed. If you look from the top, it still looks like a circle. But when you move it sideways, you can see, oh no, that's been changed. And now I'll just thread that nicely onto my little ear wire piece. And then we're going to just unbend it in the exact same way that we did. And at this point, you can sort of overbend it and take it a bit further, take it a bit back, take it a bit further, take it a bit back. And as you do this process, essentially what I'm doing is moving it so that the loop goes like this. And because I want the two ends to touch, so if we sort of imagine I'm doing this just here, if this is our little wire, so this is the loop and this is the bottom of our wire here, and you know how it wasn't quite touching like this? If I use my plier, what I'm doing at this point is going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and just sort of bringing it until it comes in contact with that little piece just there. And you can see I have done that with my little piece just there, and see how they're touching now just here at the very, very bottom. The bottom of that loop now touches that little bit of wire, and you can see we have a lovely, fully finished earring at the exact size we want it to be, dangling nicely, looking lovely, and there you are. You have a lovely, plain, simple, classy, sophisticated pair of earrings ready to be worn. You've got a lovely classy, simple, sophisticated bracelet ready to be given as a gift. You've got a lovely, classy, sophisticated looking necklace ready to be given as a gift or sold if you're someone who makes jewelry to sell. And so you can see I have one necklace, I have one bracelet, and I have one pair of earrings all together. And at the same time, I still have from my original strand all these beads left over, which I could go, yeah, let's just make loads of earrings or make another bracelet, do whatever it is you want to do with all of those leftover beads, space them out, do whatever you want. But like I said, the plan today was showing you how to make a gorgeous set of matching jewelry. So that is what I have done. And now, once you've got this, like I said, the last thing that you need to do is just sort of play with your velveteen to get the shape right. So it does take a bit of time and just straightens up. And there you have it. One lovely little necklace, perfect for a Maxine neck size. You can just increase this bit here if you want to, increase that. But there you go. There's your bracelet as well. And then you have your earrings. Stick it in a lovely organza bag. Merry Christmas. There you have it. Done and dusted. Perfect present for your loved one. And the whole matching set from just one single strand. Now, as the way I almost always try and do, I'm going to just pop on over and show you the Bead Spider website. So today, the website looks a bit like this. Where are we? Here we are. Let's just pop that onto the screen. There we go. And you can see here at the top, it's a bit cut off, but it is there. At the top of the screen here, we have our little banner for the gemstone sale. So it pops up on all the different pages. If I can just find my thing here. Wait, I can do it so you can see my mouse as well. But essentially, if you click on the big yellow button in the top right corner where it says you've got 4 days, 12 hours, 52 minutes, and 50-something seconds, it will take you to where you can view all of our different microcrystal, sorry, not microcrystal, all of our different things just there. Here we go. Just give me 1 second. Did that work? Yes, there we go. See, there it is. Get your savings. If you click on that, it will take you to where you can view all of our different gemstones. But I will come back to that. If you click down here, it will take you to where you can get all the things that you need to make this earring, where you can find the velveteen tubing, where you can find some of these different gemstones. From here as well, you can get crimps, you can get crimp covers, all of it is in there. But anyway, so I'll show you what happens if you click on this Get Your Savings thing here at the top. You can also just go straight here to where it says beads, gemstones, semi-precious gemstones, same page. Now, if you have a look, we have them sorted by color. So it goes all the pink ones, then all the red ones, then all the sort of orangey ones, then yellow ones, then, I don't know, yellow, then green, then blues, so forth. All those different ones, every single last one of them is 20% off. This one is a lovely, lovely stone right here. Similar size to what I've just been using, but it is a gorgeous greeny, yellowy color as well. But yeah, all of these different beads, they're all on sale. These jade ones here. So you can just go in and go, do you know what? I absolutely love this. This is the one I want to use. These fluorite 6 mils. I don't know. It's up to you. It's entirely up to you what you want to use. The ones I just used today, I believe were like 10, or maybe they're a bit more, 15 by 8 or something like that. If we scroll on down, I used, they'll be on the next page. I used these ones here. Natural blue lace agate. So you can see they're usually 42 pounds. They're down to 33.56 if you want to get that one. I don't have too many of them, but it is a double A grade natural blue lace agate. This photo, by the way, is terrible. It looks exactly the same as this, but for some reason they look a bit flat color-wise. I'll need to go and retake that photo, I think. You can do it with the squares as well. If you prefer the square shape, they're the same size. This almost exactly, or you can go with bigger ones if you want. choose whatever you want. But anyway, there's also rounds if you want to mix it up and use rounds in the middle. It's up to you. Go through and check it out. There's lots of different options. There's purple ones here too, you know. Go see what takes your fancy. It's all 20% off. So it's the perfect time to go shopping for gemstones. More and more and more colors. And then eventually we get to all the black ones. And then after the black, we have the gray, which there's some gorgeous labradorite. Oh my God, these ones are like the nicest beads ever. These are definitely worth taking a look at. And then you go all the way into like your white colors. All of it is 20% off, whatever you prefer. The diamonds, they're really cool. So anyway, yeah, if you head back to the link that is in the description, if you're on YouTube, that is down below. If you're on Facebook, that is up above. It'll be the same as clicking this big button here, which is essentially the keyframe of today's tutorial. And if you have a look, once you're inside there, if you missed the video, you can always go back, hit play, and there it is. You can just watch that from there. And if not, you can just come on down. Here are some nice, I've put some of the bigger gemstones in here because this, I think, is a good project with big gemstones. Like these coins are gorgeous. Just scroll on down. There's a bunch of gemstones that are bigger just there. Not too many. It's just a selection. But then I have the silver crimps. I've got the black velveteen tube. I've got the tiger tail jewelry wire that I've been using in 10 and 60. There's a couple of clasps just because I used lobsters. There's the microcrystals as well, just a very small selection of those. But if you scroll all the way to the bottom, there's the closed jump rings too. The brown velveteen tubing is here. But yeah, if you come right down all the way, you can click this to see all of the gemstones. Here are all of the 4mm faceted round crystals. I think actually a few different sizes are in there. And if you want to check out all of our size 11 microcrystals, you can click on that button there. There's a couple of tutorials, but hey, check it out. This one's back in stock, by the way. The silver is back in stock. I know everybody goes mad for that when that one's available. So if you want to get some silver microcrystals, they are there. But otherwise, again, look, all the colors in the world. There's about 80 colors so that we have of those ones. Blues and purples and reds and whites and blacks and everything. Plain black. It's up to you. But yeah, that is pretty much it from me for today. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you learned something new. I hope you had lots of fun. I thought it was a good little project, especially with Christmas. I know it was for some of our hardcore viewers who are watching all the time, who may have thought, you know what, that was a bit too easy. Don't worry. This video doesn't matter. We kind of always try and accommodate to everyone. We try and do really easy things, go back to basics and try and teach things to you guys as well. So even if you're brand new and you're thinking, oh, they do some advanced stuff on here, we also do a nice variety of beginner things as well. So there's lots and lots of things for everybody, which is a great little segue into telling you that you should not forget to like and subscribe and all of that sort of thing there. Hit that like button, subscribe, click the bell, blah, blah. You've heard it on every YouTube video ever. But also we have a link to our newsletter where you can also get emailed when we're going to be going live. So definitely worth doing. So anyway, that is it. We still have, after all of that blabbering on about the website and so forth, we still have almost 50 people here chilling back, kicking out and watching a bit of beading with me. So thank you all. I think we maxed out at about 100, but we're down to about half that now. But that's okay because we're all done. We're all finished. So who have we still got here? We have David, we have Amber, we have Eugenia, we have Julie. Julie says, I love the set. It looks so classy. Thank you. I'm glad you liked it. This is why I chose those colors. Curtis says, thank you for the demonstration as well. There's a question. What does this say? Gemstone question. You have gold, blue, and green goldstone on your website. Do you ever have purple goldstone, or is that just a shade of blue goldstone? That is a good question. I actually don't know. I shouldn't have showed that one because I don't know the answer. It doesn't happen often. I haven't seen purple goldstone before, so I'm not certain. But to be honest, I'm sure it exists. I'm sure it exists, but we don't have it, unfortunately. But yeah, so thank you to Renska for sticking around all the way from beginning to end as well. Nancy as well, who's here. Who else who's brand new? Let me just give a quick shout out. So if you are brand new, first time watching, comment right now so I can say goodbye to you, so I can thank you personally for having joined us. Christine is here. She says, this is going to be my Christmas present to my sister. Also comment in and let me know who you would gift it to. That's another thing that we want to know. How would you make it? Would you make the matching set? Are you someone who makes to sell? How would you use the velveteen tubing if that's the case? Tell me those sorts of things. These are the sorts of things I want to know. Quick, I want to see if someone comments in and says hello. Well, okay, whatever. We won't wait too much longer. I'm sure someone will comment in, but by then, we'll be done. So thank you all very, very much for joining me. I hope you had lots of fun. I know I definitely did. So thank you. And aha, there we go. There we go. So we have Aracelia says, it's my first time at your live. Thanks for joining us. I'm glad you could be here. So she gets the quick shout out. And Trish says, what are we making next week? Any sneaky peeks? Do you know what? I do know what we're going to be making, but I do not have it to hand to show you. But it is very, very sparkly and very, very blingy. And it looks fabulous. It's a bracelet that we're going to be doing. And it's going to be more bead weavy. So we're going to be getting the spiral on and our beading needles out. I'm going to be using some 3mm crystal cubes as well, which sounds like fun. So anyway, if you are brand new and you haven't done so, why not subscribe to our newsletter so that you can find out what I'm going to be doing? Because usually I release the email on a Wednesday or so, letting you know what will happen on a Friday. So yeah, thank you all very, very much for watching. I hope you had lots of fun. I will see you for next Friday's tutorial, which I could have shown you, but unfortunately I didn't bring one in here to show you the finished demo piece. But anyway, thank you all. Have a lovely weekend. Go do some beading. Go check out the website. Sale, it's only on for the next 4 days. So once that's over, the 20% off, which is a big discount. I think that's the biggest one we've done in maybe 3 years or more on our gemstones. Make sure you don't miss out on that. So thank you very much, and I will see you next Friday, same place, same time. So thank you for watching, and have a lovely weekend. Thank you. Bye-bye.